For a session presented by Discover Puerto Rico, please welcome the Chief Sales Officer of Discover Puerto Rico, Ed Carey, and Executive Director of the Puerto Rico Convention District Authority, Mariela Vallines Fernández, in discussion with SkiftX Content Director, Alison McCarthy.
Move back a little bit.
Oh, hi, Ed and Mariela.
Hi. Hello.
Hi, thanks so much for being here today. It's so great to have you. So I want to jump right in. It's been a really exciting last few years for Puerto Rico. I would say that the island is definitely having a moment, both as a destination and in culture overall. Yeah. So Ed, I'm going to start with you. Tell us, what have you seen? Why Puerto Rico? Why now?
Why now? Well, I think Puerto Rico's really been making waves, as you allude to, for years now, not only as a travel destination, but in global culture, right? You think about the island has a mix of the African, the Taino, the Spanish, and American influences. And you also think about think about Ricky Martin and J-Lo and Bad Bunny and others that have really brought Puerto Rico into the global consciousness and contributed so much to art, music, dance, and culinary in some instances. It's no wonder that a destination that doesn't require a passport, that has so many of these influences, that is 4 hours away from where we are right now, is seeing a resurgence. And I will say, you know, what our marketing teams, and Leah Chandler, who I believe is here, and some of the others in marketing have done such a really good job of bringing it to the forefront of the consciousness. So I think it's at a time now where it's been rediscovered. And as a matter of fact, the forward-looking hotel bookings for the first quarter of this year are 27% higher than where they were at the same time last year. And when you look at the meetings segment, there's 86% more events on the books today than there was during the pre-pandemic, 2019 pre-pandemic year. So it's kind of speaks for itself.
I was hoping we would get a Bad Bunny reference in today, this being Megatrends. So Mariela, I want to get your take from a meetings perspective. I know that Puerto Rico has seen some really great success in meetings and events, especially this last year. And this comes at an interesting time as millennials are moving into managerial positions and Gen Z's entering the workforce. So tell us, what have you seen meetings and events in Puerto Rico? Why has it resonated? And how are you thinking about the next generation meeting attendee?
Well, I think that this generation of meeting planners is looking for so much more than just a nice venue. I mean, safety is important, accessibility, technology, infrastructure. Yes, these are things to consider. But what they're really looking for is for an experience. They're looking for their people to be able to connect with the destination. And as Seth was saying, culture and history are two of the main assets Puerto Rico has to offer, and it's very easy to incorporate that to your travel plans, even if you're there for a convention or a job-related trip. So for an example I could give you, we have the most wonderful convention district located right in the heart of San Juan. It has great infrastructure, it has technology, it's safe, it's accessible, and 5 minutes from that we have Old San Juan, which is a 500-year-old city that was built by the Spaniards. So that's one of the many examples I can give you of how to incorporate that real experience into your trip.
And so what might a meeting attendee experience at an event or a conference in Puerto Rico that might make it culturally authentic, unique, meaningful?
Yeah. I would start with what they won't experience, and that is what we experienced walking over here from our hotel this morning, and that's rain and 40-degree weather. But and that's not a dig on New York. I love New York. There's no question about that.
I was wearing flip-flops yesterday at this time at home.
But what I will, first I want to reiterate that it is so easy to get to Puerto Rico, right? There's a number of nonstop daily flights from many of the U.S. gateways. So. Again, no U.S. passport is required. It's a U.S. currency. You don't even have to change your cell phone plan when you land on the island. But once you do land in Puerto Rico, there's this incredible mix of cultures that I referenced earlier that allows you to really create this sort of experiential touch for the meeting attendees. And you know, we looked at, we always look at several of the research reports that are out there, and the most recent that I've looked at, we continue to see that meeting planners are really challenged. Probably two of the most important things they have to face, and what keeps them awake at night, is staying within a budget for obvious reasons, and creating an experience. And many of today's corporate leaders, I think, after several years of experimenting with hybrid meetings and virtual meetings, now realize that we better get back in touch with our core company culture, right? We bring our whole selves to work, as I think he once said to me. So that is something that we can very easily provide. You know, you're looking at pictures of our convention district and Distrito T-Mobile. Distrito T-Mobile is an incredible, Mariela will tell us more about it, but an amazing facility that is, restaurants, bars, a Coca-Cola music hall where we have great concert events, an indoor activity park for children, movie theaters, and all of that is just steps away from the convention center, and all of those venues are operated by locally in Puerto Rico. So it's really one of, I think, the coolest ways to sort of wrap that experiential touch into the convention center itself. Mm-hmm. And that's just a convention center. Throughout the island, there's a lot of other opportunities.
Right, and Skift, we took our company retreat there in 2022, so I know we experienced all that firsthand.
Yeah.
But Mariela, I want to talk more about Distrito T-Mobile. I know that it opened in 2021, and it's really been a game changer for how people experience Puerto Rico. So what makes it special? Why is it unique? What's the big deal here?
Well, it has definitely been a game changer. Like Ed was saying, we brought the playground right next to the convention center. This facility is a modern facility. It has over 14,000 square feet of LED screens and displays. We have like our own little Times Square. Actually, we just hosted the New Year's Rocking Eve in Puerto Rico for the third year in a row, the same event you have in New York with your ball drop. We just had it back home. And by the way, we got the highest ratings of all 4 cities, so we're celebrating that. I'm sorry. And it's a digitally driven facility. It's a different space of what you're used to have your networking and your meetings. We just hosted the International Gay and Lesbian Travel Association Convention at the Convention Center, and they had many of the activities held in Distrito T-Mobile. And they reported back that it's one of the best events they had. They were celebrating the 40th anniversary of their organization, and it was the one that had the highest number of participants. They brought over 700 visitors with them. So it's definitely been a game changer, and it makes all the sense in the world to host your event in Puerto Rico when you have all this new experience right next door to the convention center.
Yeah, I love that phrase, we brought the playground to the convention center. That's perfect.
The adult playground.
The adult playground. I want to talk a bit about the Make Your Meeting Boricua campaign. Mariela, tell us about the phrase Boricua, and then how does this fit in with the strategy here?
Okay, Boricua is another word for Puerto Rican. The Taino Indians, they named Puerto Rico Borinquen, so that's where Boricua comes from. So we, Puerto Ricans call ourselves Boricuas. So when we say live Boricua, what we mean is that we want you to come to Puerto Rico as a visitor, but we want you to leave as family. We want you to have the true Puerto Rican experience and to be able to achieve that, that spectacular things that Puerto Rico has to offer, and for you to be able to experience them feeling like one of Boricuas. It's just another, experience in its own. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, and the Make Your Meetings Boricua is just an extension of that sort of same invitation. How do you get meeting attendees to sort of think differently about why they're getting together, what they're going to prioritize in the coming year? So we've developed such a diverse playbook of options, of activities, that you're in turn giving meeting planners the tools they need to not only create those experiences, but to ultimately impact their bottom line. And as we know, corporate leaders are always looking at their bottom line.
And so shifting gears a bit here, Ed, I know that hosting youth and collegiate sporting events has become a big part of Puerto Rico's strategy. So talk to us about this,
Yeah.
thinking behind that.
Well, I'll start with the fact that sports really is part of the DNA of Puerto Rico. It really is. I mean, when you think about some of the names I mentioned, Bad Bunny, I'll say it again, and J-Lo and Ricky Martin, in the sports segment, in the sports world, there's been equal amount of contribution to the major leagues. And so we see that by introducing the island to the youth sporting events, we're going to sort of create a legacy and create a destination that they're going to come back and visit in their later years. It's funny, I was in the green room there earlier, and there's a picture on the wall of Lori Hernandez and the Olympic gymnastics team. We hosted that Lori Hernandez Challenge for the first time off of the U.S. mainland in Puerto Rico, as well as the National Collegiate Wrestling Championship, which for the first time left the mainland and was now in Puerto Rico. We've also been named as Champions of Sports Economic Impact by Sports Destination Management magazine. So not only are we introducing the island to a new generation of travelers, but we're having a significant economic impact at the same time.
Yeah.
So it's a big part of our...
Amazing.
Yeah.
And so Ed and Mariela, knowing the success that Discover Puerto Rico's had over the last few years, what's one piece of advice you would give to other destination marketers?
I think for us, the magic touch has been working as a team. In Puerto Rico, the DMO, the Convention Authority, which is the one I lead, and the Puerto Rico Tourism Company, we all work together. We get it. It's just one industry, and it's so important, the impact it has in our economy. And another thing, I mean, you have to be able to back up what you offer. We have these spectacular campaigns, and when you get to Puerto Rico, this is what you get, So once the DMO does its job and brings people to Puerto Rico, we really take care of them. So you need to be able to back up what you put out there. Absolutely.
And along those lines, stay close to your local community and really focus on, like we have with the Live Boricua campaign. That's unique to Puerto Rico. Focus on what you can do. And I forget who coined the phrase. I always thought it was the Grateful Dead band that said, we're not trying to be the best at what we do, we're trying to be the only ones doing what we're doing. And I think that has allowed us to sort of separate ourselves from the pack.
Amazing. That's a great way to end it. Ed and Mariela, thanks so much for joining us today. It was great to have you.